Welcome to another episode of the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez, here every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific Time, 11 p.m. Eastern Time. Here to talk about all things professional wrestling, all the action behind the curtain, inside and outside of the ring. I'm your man. Tune into the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast on the GSMC Sports Network every night, 8 p.m., 11 p.m. Eastern Time. Well, guys, hope you guys have an amazing midweek. It is Wednesday. As my mother used to like to call it, it's hump day. Guys, don't get too excited. Don't get too crazy. But, you're right there. You're about to go right. It's all downhill. We got Thursday, Friday, then we have the weekend. So, super cool. Can't wait. We have a lot for you today. So thank you for tuning in to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. We have a lot for you today on tap. We have our AEW Dynamite 250 preview. We also have our WWE NXT review. We have our top 10 men in professional wrestling and our top 10 women in professional wrestling. And we're going to cap it all off with my Wednesday weekly wrestling news. We're going to talk about the hottest news, all the breaking news within the professional wrestling industry. So can't wait to do that. Remember to subscribe to the show, subscribe to the GSMC Sports Network, and leave a positive review here at the GSMC Sports Network. We do love a lot of peace, love, and positivity, so don't be too shy to go ahead and do that. But before we move on to our first segment, I want to remind you guys to use the tips and donations link at the gsmcpodcast.net. Shoot me your comments, questions, and concerns. Be a part of the show. The show's a hell of a lot better with a lot of audience engagement. Definitely like talking to you guys about professional wrestling. Definitely like hearing your guys' opinions and stuff like that. Even if it differs from mine, I honestly I would rather, have different opinions come at me, criticism, so to speak, as opposed to just like yes men be like, oh, that's a good point. Like, be like, but like, what do you mean? What do you mean? Solo Sikoa is not, the true tribal chief. You know what I mean? Like, I love those questions. Once again, hit up the GSMC Sports Network. Leave me your comment. Just put your questions up on top so I can see it. We get a number of questions from viewers like you that come in during the show. So ultimately, let's talk. Let's talk about professional wrestling. All right, so let's go ahead and dig on into our first segment. We have our WWE NXT review. Well, they don't like to be called WWE NXT anymore. I've noticed on the pay-per-views on the weekly show on Tuesday nights, it's just NXT. Kind of did away with the WWE, and I kind of get that. I know why they ultimately want to do that. I feel like a sense of WCW, and I'm not trying to be like, I'm not trying to, relive, or I'm not trying to, because I love the WCW. I'm not trying to live in the past or trying to prove a nostalgic ideology, try to spring out from the underground here. But NXT was a developmental brand for the WWE for the longest time. Once when WWE absorbed WCW, I ultimately felt it would have been within the best interest of both companies just to get more money, to kind of put on this facade, kind of have this fabrication of these two juggernaut wrestling promotions go at it, and not necessarily put in the limelight, put in public view that Vince McMahon bought it. But of course, Vince McMahon and the McMahons, they have their egos and stuff like that. So ultimately, you saw WCW just get, just trashed by WWE. So, and there's been a lot of speculation surrounding the professional wrestling social media and the journalism aspect of it as well. I read an article the other day saying that, they weren't against trying to revamp a WCW, which would, it would be WWE NXT. It would be NXT, has nothing to do with WWE. It's its own entity. Sooner rather than later, NXT has to learn how to stand on its own because, as of October 3rd, I think of October 1st, you're going to have, NXT become its own show. WWE has recently trademarked, a lot of pay-per-views that has been kind of set in the past, like No Mercy. I think even, I don't want to, Super Brawl. I think, yeah, Super Brawl, also Halloween Havoc, and now you have the Great American Bash for NXT. Kind of that nice little revamp, helping, superstars and, kind of get up to the potential. You have also, a lot of TNA superstars hitting the WWE, in recent times, which is actually kind of cool. I dig it. I think it's awesome, 1,010%. So let's dig into this NXT review. So first we have the Rascalz reuniting, successfully defeating Gallus. This was pretty big. They were separated for 4 years. Wesley absolutely 110% looks too comfortable. Looks way too comfortable. Makes me think that maybe he should have stuck with his gang the whole time. But he made it to NXT. He's the longest reigning NXT North American champion, so can't be too mad at his decision of coming to WWE. They put an NXT title on him. But, they looked way too good. Zachary Wentz, Trey Miguel, Wesley, all three members of the Rascalz getting in the ring together. You could just see it, the look on his face, the moves he was doing, just his actions toward the crowd, toward the camera. He was just having fun. He was having 1,010% fun. He wasn't giving a damn of am I NXT? Am I deep down inside? Am I TNA? Deep down inside, you're a star. You're a superstar. Wesley, he's amazing. He's has an aerial attack. He can pull out a couple submission moves. He keeps you on the edge of your seat 1,010% as a wrestling fan. I know that's how I feel. If there was like a NXT equivalent to Ricochet, I would feel like a Wesley would definitely be in that sort of category. So yeah, and then WWE NXT announced a 2-week event, the Great American Bash. I'm not too crazy on 2-week events. I got to be honest. I think it kind of drags it out. It would be interesting to be like, it's going to be on Sci-Fi thanks to the Olympics in Paris. Obviously, you can't have it on the USA Network because what's a USA Network? USA. What's a USA Network without showing the United States Olympics? It'd be not really USA about it. Like, you know what I mean? So definitely understand the switch to Sci-Fi. We got a 2-week Great American Bash event. So that's definitely heading toward the future. Next, we have Roxanne Perez addresses the NXT universe. She name dropped Julia, also Stephanie McCure. Thea Hail came out absolutely pissed off because she felt disrespected, ultimately feeling that Roxanne Perez, she doesn't take her seriously. And Thea Hail, she's had her kind of limelight. She's also been with JC Jane a little bit, and she made it to Chase U, and it's just ever since then she's been you've seen a different side of her. She's not the same Thea Hill you've seen in the past. So Roxanne Perez almost got her arm broken on last night on NXT. So definitely a lot of animosity between the two. Roxanne Perez shouldn't sell Thea Hill too short. You know what I mean? And you also shouldn't be punking two superstars, one from Stardom, one from the CMLL. You know, you shouldn't be punking these guys. Like, these guys can come at 1,010%. They are definitely what the WWE universe is waiting for. I love Stephanie McCure. I loved her when she was wrestling in CMLL. I only watched her briefly. Got to be honest. I'm not going to try to put on her front here. Julia, I've seen, highlights. As soon as I found out she was signed to NXT, I was like, okay, who is this girl? I got to check her out. And she was very good, 1,010%. She's an in-ring, general. Definitely could put on a great match. Definitely could hold up a brand. Definitely capable of holding WWE NXT Women's World Championships. Roxanne Perez walking on rocks. Thea Hail, her and Thea Hail fight each other 2 weeks at NXT Great American Bash. Brooks Jensen, Javon Evans, Sean Spears comes out. Big for Sean Spears, obviously kind of that antagonist, kind of that one that likes to dig deep into people's dark sides. Loves to bring them out. Loves to bring them out. Brooks Jensen is being monitored by his former partner Josh Briggs. Josh Briggs is completely just, beside himself because Brooks Jensen is doing nothing to support Josh Briggs' claim. Josh Briggs put his neck on the line for Brooks Jensen to get a second shot at Ava. And so far, he's done nothing but just tarnish it. He's done nothing but, attack people backstage, attack, Javon Evans, the outbreak star of WWE NXT. So, kind of crazy. It's going to be interesting to kind of see what happens. Javon Evans did get his revenge, but then after the match, you saw Brooks attack Javon Evans. Charlie Dempsey talking to the Don, talking about a deal, saying that hypothetically, what would I do if a woman saw this? And then, Tony D'Angelo, the Heritage Cup champion, doesn't want to be part of any kind of scandals, any kind of, allegations or anything like that. Obviously, he still knows that he has to represent the NXT Heritage Cup to a certain extent. So you can bet that Tony D'Angelo, the Don, is, I think he's one step away from cutting thread between the No Quarter Catch crew and the family. So, you could probably expect something down the line of, that, kind of blowing up into Charlie Dempsey's face. It's going to be interesting to kind of find out how that works out. Speaking because Charlie Dempsey, the son of William Regal, has found himself hitting on TNA Impact episodes and stuff like that, doing promos, interfering in matches. Obviously he has a match next week against Trey Miguel and Zachary Wentz and Kushida. So it should be interesting to find out what's going to, happen between the brand. Also, where Charlie Dempsey is going to wind up. I feel like he's a very talented athlete. I feel like ever since Drew Gulak left the No Quarter Catch crew, ultimately kind of left them, kind of crippled. You know what I mean? I do not believe for a second that WWE did not want to come to terms with Drew Gulak as the contract, negotiations and stuff like that. Honestly, I feel like that's a bit of cloud talk and stuff like that. So, but obviously, that's my opinion. Send me your chat. Tell me if you disagree with what I have to say. Next, we have Dante Chen, fighting for the NXT Championship against Ethan Page. Ethan Page ultimately was able to come out the victor. We all kind of saw that coming, but Dante Chen showed that he does have a promising future within NXT. Next, you see a promo where Trick Williams calling his former foe Ilya Dragunov drafted the WWE Monday Night Raw in the draft about maybe like it was when the NFL draft happened. So like April. So he's been with WWE he's been with WWE Monday Night Raw. And Trick Williams even said to himself, and he said, and I quote, "I don't even recognize myself anymore without the WWE NXT World Championship." So a lot of, just a lot of stuff, just a lot of beef, just a lot of, you have a, kind of like a trouble within Trick Williams trying to find out who he is. Obviously, did lose the championship in a fatal four-way match, was never pinned. Ethan Page, so he cannot necessarily revoke his rematch clause because it wasn't a one-on-one. But I know it should be interesting to kind of find out the path that Shawn Michaels wants to put Trick Williams on. Will he turn him heel? I honestly don't know. Because he is a total face right now, but obviously they put the belt on Ethan Page for a reason. They kind of want to have, someone a little more like in your face, disrespectful, in your face, like someone who can cut promos that wrestling fans, because we love Trick Williams. I love Trick Williams 1,010%. Think, one of the best baby faces in NXT history, in my opinion. Obviously, you kind of had that, that stint with Carmelo Hayes, and then you saw him defeat Ilya Dragunov when he was fighting for his career. And then he represented the championship really, really well. Then Ethan Page was signed to NXT. Then, lo and behold, at Heatwave, a fatal four-way match, he lost the title. So, it's going to be interesting to find out what Shawn decides to do with Trick moving forward, especially toward October. I feel like this summer, all the way leading up to October, when the CW debuts NXT, is probably going to be the best NXT wrestling you have ever seen in your professional wrestling life. And I believe that because, they're going to have to start selling out arenas on their own. They're definitely relying on that collaboration with TNA. So, something has to give. Something has to give. You're going to see a lot of superstars, a lot of big people coming to NXT, a lot of big, shocking waves, and so to speak, in terms of the professional wrestling industry. Kind of speeding this up, we are running out of time for this segment. Tatum Paxley defeated Izzy Dame, Wendy Chu, and Izzy Dame, Tatum Paxley looks like they're kind of going a little buddy, a little crazy here. Obviously, Tatum Paxley in the back was eyeing Kaylani Jordan's NXT Women's North American Championship. Lola Vice defeated JC Jane, and then she was attacked by Fallon Henley and also Jasmine Nix. You saw Carmen Petrovich and Soruka come to her aid. And next you saw OTM lose. They lost against the OC, and that was actually kind of pretty surprising to me. But I know why. I feel like the OC ultimately needed that win, 1,010%. I want to see the OC do a lot better. They were, presented with the independent. They were within the independent wrestling scene for the longest time, and they were a dominant faction. They weren't just like that throwaway match that you saw them on SmackDown, that you saw them on WWE Monday Night Raw. And then when you see them come to NXT, you're like, oh my God, these guys are going to do so much damage. But it's more or less just the same. So it'd be interesting to kind of find out. Honestly, you have not seen AJ Styles on the main roster on SmackDown. He's not injured. He's not been reported as injured. Um, Hey, will he go to NXT? Will he go to NXT, be their number one? Obviously, with that collaboration between TNA and WWE, will you see him return to TNA? Here and there. Just to kind of rattle up the crowd. I feel like that'd be pretty badass. For the main event, we had Duke Hudson taking on Oba Femi for the NXT North American Championship. Duke looked good. I feel like Duke looked good, 1,010%. I feel like Duke could definitely have a singles run. The only thing this match showed is that he still has a lot left in the tank. Could he have a heel singles run? Absolutely. Absolutely, positively. I think that would be pretty cool. He kicked out of the Oba Femi chokeslam, which was pretty badass. It was a clean win. It was a clean win. The whole time I was looking over on the sideline, over on the apron, looking at Rich Holland to see if they would turn Rich heel, and they didn't. And I think it was smart. And I honestly love that. I love the creativity of NXT that, decided to kind of hold off on that. And finally, lastly, in NXT, Brooks Jensen at the end of WWE NXT challenged Josh Briggs to a no disqualification match next week on NXT. All right, guys, do not go anywhere. We're going to move on to our AEW Dynamite 250. It is the 250th episode of Dynamite. Tony Khan's thinking something pretty big. Pretty big. Is it going to be really, really big? We'll find out when you come back.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits, I'm losing shit. A stupid myth, you choose to live or choose to dip. You choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
And we are back with the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Just going to reflect on what we talked about. We had our WWE NXT preview. Now we're going to jump on into our AEW Dynamite 250 preview. But before we move on any further, sorry, I had a burp there. Before we move on any further, I want to remind you guys to use the GSMC, podcast.net. Shoot me your comments, questions, and concerns. We get a number of questions from viewers like you that come in during the show, so don't be too shy to send the chat. Tell me how you're feeling. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like. Just give me your feedback, your comments, questions, concerns, everything in terms of professional wrestling, so we can have a nice, knowledgeable analysis of a segment, of a match, of a heel turn, or a title change. So, don't be afraid to hit up the GSMC podcast.net. And don't forget to subscribe to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, as well as the GSMC Sports Network. Here at the Sports Network, we have a lot of passionate podcasters who love one thing and one thing only. Just like you guys, we love talking about sports. So be a part of the GSMC Sports Bloodline. Subscribe to the show. It's going to be awesome, and you won't regret it. And the link is at the GSMC podcast.net if you want to hit up that tips and donations link. So next, It's Wednesday. You know what that means? AEW Dynamite 250 is live in Little Rock, Arkansas. I'm excited. I can't wait to watch it. Can't wait to see what, with the matches you see tonight. There's no doubt in my mind that, you see, as a wrestling fan, and I know I've, kind of talked about steering away from comparing yourself to WWE. But you see, Monday Night Raw 100th anniversary, Monday Night Raw 75th, SmackDown's, 1000th episode, yada, yada, yada. You can't help but to think that, this has to be big. This has to be big. And we have a lot of great matches tonight. Let's dig on into them. We have 3 title defenses. But first and foremost, we have TV time with Chris Jericho. Last week, we saw him drive Samoa Joe with the forklift into a wall. Samoa Joe, of course, was being written off from AEW to film season 2 of Twisted Metal, where I think it's Sweet Tooth. I think he plays Sweet Tooth. The learning tree is becoming increasingly diabolical every week, inside and out. And I like it. I got to be honest. I'm not this, huge Chris Jericho, face kind of guy. Chris Jericho's never really been a face within his whole entire career. He kind of had a little bit of a run with Kevin Owens, but he was kind of like that. Stuck in the wrong place at the wrong time, where he's like, you just make the less. But, now you just see Chris Jericho. I don't know. As the FTW champion, he took it from Hook. I think it's Double or Nothing. I believe it was Double or Nothing. But Chris Jericho has done a lot for AEW. From the beginning of AEW, Chris Jericho was there. Even when times were rough with AEW, Chris Jericho was there. And even now when ratings are going down to 500,000 viewers, Chris Jericho, although he's one phone call away with Paul Levesque, Triple H, he's still there. So Chris Jericho, obviously still a very much respectable superstar. The FTW champion. Could probably expect Hook and Shibata, interfere within his segment tonight. Next, we have Mariah May. Mariah May speaks. The Owen Hart Women's World Cup champion speaks about what exactly happened. Totally demolishing. Totally just... oh my God, destroying Toni Storm. Her protege, her mentor. I can't wait to see what she says tonight on Dynamite. I can't wait to see when Toni Storm comes out. When you see blood in WWE or in AEW, WCW, ECW, it means that the promo was a big deal. Obviously, when you saw the promo between The Rock and Cody Rhodes heading toward WrestleMania, you knew that these guys were going to get personal. This was going to be really, really bad because you introduced the concept of blood, which means, once when you break someone's blood, bust them open, it's personal. It's extremely personal. And Mariah May did that, let alone a woman busting open another woman, shoving the heel of the high heel into the wound, just gushing blood, just this gory blood just flowing out of Toni Storm's forehead. This is something AEW has done, I feel like ultimately pretty well, in my opinion. I got to be honest. I love the way AEW, they do promos and stuff like that. Obviously gives me like a nostalgic WCW, maybe like an ECW kind of feel. But Mariah May is a star. She's been a promising star. She's definitely one of the futures of AEW. Toni Storm is, when it comes to professional wrestling, you always have a long title run. You had a long title run with Gunther. He lost to the Sami Zayn. You had a long title run with Roman Reigns. Lost against Cody Rhodes. Then they kind of, took a vacation. I think right now that's what they're doing. I feel like Mariah May, although it is about a month and a half until AEW All In at Wembley Stadium, I feel like that's what they're kind of heading to. I think Mariah May will represent the women's division. 1,010% love the, after winning the Owen Hart Cup Championship, and she's going to address the attack on Toni Storm. I can't wait. I can't wait to watch it. Next, we have Mercedes Mone, the champion, taking on Nyla Rose, defending her TBS championship. Nyla Rose is big. She's very big. Like, and I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. Obviously, this girl could throw me across the room and teach me a lesson. But Nyla Rose she's no one to be messed with. I'm not the woman to mess with, Nyla Rose. Nyla Rose, Mercedes Mone tonight on AEW Dynamite 250. Will Mercedes Mone retain her TBS championship, or will we see a new TBS champion tonight on Dynamite? All right, next we have champion versus champion. We have Swerve against Kazuchika Okada of the Elite, the Continental Champion going against the AEW World Heavyweight Champion, the captain of Team AEW heading toward Blood and Guts. And you have Kazuchika Okada, obviously the MVP of the Elite, not like the Young Bucks. The Young Bucks have within their matches, I feel like has been a little, diminished their value in terms of tag team wrestling. They kind of rely on the same moves. I read an article. I watched an interview from The Undertaker, who was kind of analyzing what the Young Bucks do. And it's true. They just, recycle the same old, trash and BS and BS. Same old new super kick after super kick after super kick. And it's to the point where, you got to, you're one of the best tag teams within the independent wrestling history. People, when you think of WWE, you don't really know who Kenny Omega is. You don't really know who Hangman Adam Page. You don't know who Okada is. You don't know who the Young Bucks are. But I feel like ultimately this run with the Elite, and I know this is going to, I'm not trying to pick on the Elite. I like the Elite. Honestly, I can't really say that. I feel like this run with the Elite is ultimately kind of diminishing the value and the credibility of the Young Bucks. I got to be honest. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I don't like it one bit. I feel like, Matthew and Nicholas Jackson, they do kind of deserve more, but, how could you blame them? How could you blame them? AEW lost Cody Rhodes, lost Shade Cargill, lost CM Punk, lost, top superstars that, like I mentioned before on a couple podcasts, even when Cody Rhodes left and they were averaging about 950,000 viewers to a million. And then with Cody Rhodes and CM Punk on AEW, they were averaging about 1 million. And then when Cody Rhodes left, and then it was just CM Punk, he was hitting about 900,000, 1 million on occasions. CM Punk left, it went from 800,000 to 700,000 to 600,000. Last week, they got over 500,000. I think it was 550,000 viewers. And it's just a lot of pressure on the Young Bucks. A lot of pressure on the Young Bucks. Definitely a lot of pressure on Swerve Strickland. A lot of pressure on Will Ospreay being recently signed by AEW. Tony Khan signing Mercedes Mone to a big, massive contract. One of the biggest contracts in women's wrestling history. So, a lot of pressure on these new superstars that came in. Should be interesting to find out how this kind of applies to AEW Dynamite 250 tonight. So, obviously, waiting on pins and needles to see heading toward Blood and Guts. You have, Swerve Strickland. Swerve, when I drive, yes, Swerve, when I drive, yes, Swerve. And then teaming up with Mark Briscoe, Team AEW. And, of course, you have Team Elite looking for that fifth person. I think it might be Hangman Adam Page. I think it's going to be Hangman Adam Page 1,010%. Should be interesting to find out. But, yeah. Next, we have for the first time ever in AEW history and professional wrestling history, we have the aerial assassin Will Ospreay taking on the best there is, Maxwell Jacob Friedman. I'm better than you, and you know it. For the AEW International Championship, should be interesting to find out, will Daniel Garcia make an appearance and screw MJF, furthermore building up a match toward All In, or will you see the Don Callis family? The Don Callis family was ultimately disowned by Will Ospreay, heading toward, the Forbidden Door. So, obviously Kyle Fletcher, he lost his championship on Ring of Honor. I believe that was kind of like a foreshadow of him coming to AEW as a permanent kind of head of the Don Callis family. Obviously, you still have Roosh in the mix, trying to figure out some stuff. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to find out who wins this match. Ultimately, I feel like this match is going to go uncontested because, you're going to have, both of these superstars who have huge targets on their head, finally get theirs. All right, so we're going to move on. We have men's wrestling power rankings. Do not touch that button. Grab your favorite snack or grab your favorite drink. We're going to talk about the top 10 men's wrestlers in the professional wrestling industry. So, hey, do not go anywhere.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.
And we are back with the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez, here, your favorite wrestling fan, Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific time, 11 p.m. Eastern time on the GSMC Sports Network. Make sure you catch me. Make sure you hit up the chat. Tell me how you feel. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like. Give me your thoughts and opinions about certain things that happened in professional wrestling today. What's going to happen in the future, maybe some predictions, and maybe some what happened in the past. Definitely love talking about professional wrestling. Love being schooled as well. Definitely love a lot of criticism here at the GSMC Sports Network. Leave a positive review, but to be honest, I take all feedback. Feedback is a gift. So just kind of reiterate what we talked about. Our segment when we talked about our WWE NXT review, we had our AEW Dynamite 250 preview, and now we're going to jump on into our top 10 men's wrestlers. But before we do that, I want to remind you guys to use the GSMC Sports Network, the GSMCpodcast.net, to hit up the tips and donations link. We get a number of questions from viewers like you that come in during the show, so do not be shy. Tell me how you feel. Give me some chats. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like. Tell me what you want to see in professional wrestling, what you think will ultimately make it better during the Paul Levesque era. Maybe some suggestions you have toward Tony Khan or, any other, maybe TNA, Ring of Honor, New Japan Professional Wrestling. This is what this podcast is designed for. Ultimately, I kind of wanted to, kind of simulate, having this podcast like you're sitting at a bar. You're very knowledgeable about professional wrestling. You sit next to someone with like a wrestling shirt, and you guys just hit it off. You just hit it off talking about wrestling, having a good old time, throwing back some drinks, having a good time. So, once again, the link is at gsmcpodcast.net. This show is a hell of a lot better with a lot of audience engagement. I got to be honest. So, once again, the link is at the gsmcpodcast.net. All right. So, we're going to talk about our men's wrestling power rankings, and he is here. Say his name and he appears. I believe in Joe Hendry. Joe Hendry obviously being shown on NXT tonight the past couple of weeks, and obviously a huge TNA star. He's going to be big. He's going to be very big. A lot of people, kind of compare him to, like the John Cena. And he just looks so damn good. Looks just so damn good. He was talking on the mic with Booker T and Vic Joseph on NXT last night. And I was like, dude, this guy's going to be special. This guy's going to be a huge star. From the get-go, when I saw him on TNA, and they were teasing this TNA collaboration with WWE. But a lot of WWE fans were thinking to themselves, who on TNA could even mesh with the superstars you have on NXT? At the time we were talking about, there was Ilya Dragunov. There was also Dijak. There was also, Trick Williams. There was Carmelo Hayes. And obviously, they found a guy, Joe Hendry. Joe Hendry is so over with the NXT crowd right now, 1,010%. Can't wait to find out, what he has in store. At number 10, I have Joe Hendry. At number 9, I got Moose still at, on the list, the TNA World Heavyweight Champion, the leader of the system, still running TNA Impact for, God, it's been so long. Can anybody dethrone this guy? I honestly don't think so. Matt Hardy couldn't. He really, I had faith in Matt Hardy, the broken Matt Hardy. I felt like he was going to come in, teach Moose a lesson after he got signed by TNA. And now you kind of have Jeff Hardy, Brother Nero, coming back, maybe perhaps being the next person to challenge Moose. But then again, I'm not sure that's too smart. But, this guy's just a powerhouse. This guy's one of the best. Honestly, think, and it might be a little, kind of crazy, obviously huge, conspiracy theory alert. If AJ Styles, who has not been broadcasted on WWE SmackDown television in a long time, makes his return to NXT, answers an open challenge, or wants to challenge Moose for the TNA World Championship, so he once again becomes a champion, kind of coming back home to TNA. I feel like that'd be magic. I feel like that'd be, Money in the Bank would be so awesome to see, kind of go back to my roots, AJ Styles, going back to your roots, man. He was very special in TNA. He upheld the TNA brand for the longest time. Him, Kurt Angle, Samoa Joe, the Monster Abyss, Sting, a lot of great names, Jay Lethal, the Fallen Angel, Christopher Daniels. Just just a lot of good names in TNA. Then, obviously you all know what happened. Like kind of, Dixie Carter left, and then as soon as the Panda Energy kind of left, the funding then stopped. When the funding stops, the money, and then domino effect. Now you kind of have TNA, drawing about 30,000 viewers a show. So live on Access TV. Doesn't diminish who Moose is. By all means, does not diminish who Moose is. 1,010%. If this guy steps into a WWE ring, NXT ring, AEW, New Japan Professional Wrestling, Stardom, MLW, you name it, this guy's going to be a force to be reckoned with. So at number 9, I got Moose. At number 8, I got Solo Sikoa, and I was gonna put Jacob Fatu on this because I feel like Jacob Fatu ultimately belongs as the leader of the bloodline, the new young bloodline. But the way Solo's kind of doing it, you got to respect it. You got to respect the way he's, cutting good promos. He's, I recently saw him, in Mexico City. He was doing an event on the tour, in the live tour, where he kind of broke character. And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. I like, how he's able to still kind of be one with the fans and stuff like that. Jacob Fatu, he's all about interacting with fans. Before he made it to WWE, he wasn't this absolute crazy. Like, of course he was, he was crazy good at what he did, but he wasn't like just so like in your face, like a total heel. People ultimately kind of cheered for Jacob Fatu before he made it onto the WWE roster, and you have WWE fans or professional wrestling fans for that matter to be like, oh, look, like I want to cheer for this guy, but I can't because he's part of a heel group. He's electric inside the ring. You saw him take out DIY. You saw him put on like moves that only cruiserweights kind of do. He's like a mesh between Bobby Lashley, Cody Rhodes, and Rey Mysterio, which is like the best wrestler in the whole entire world. It's crazy. But at number 8, I have Solo Sikoa. Gotta respect the leader of the new bloodline, keeping it all together, kind of stirring up the crowd, so to speak. At number 7, I have the NXT World Heavyweight Champion, Ethan Page. Ethan Page finally makes it onto this list because, ultimately, like when he won the championship, I was like, all right, it kind of seems like you're pandering to the contracts here, HBK. Like, what are you doing, man? But I like Ethan Page. Ever since he had his first, promo when he was in the ring talking to Ava, I felt a lot of passion. I felt that he could ultimately disrupt the locker room within NXT, kind of causing more of an unpredictable, kind of match landscape in terms of WWE NXT. And now you kind of have this bout between him and Trick Williams. Obviously I love Trick Williams 1,010%. Ethan Page is our new champion, of course. Trick Williams was good at what he did, but I feel like ultimately NXT, I like the belt on Ethan Page. I got to be honest. I do. I like that, I like that just that, I don't want to say crybaby mentality where like something goes wrong, where like something's not fair. He's like, hey, like, what do you do? Like, take a look at sports. A lot of like, crybaby mentality superstars like LeBron James, Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, a lot of, who pander to the rest, Luka Doncic. Like, you love seeing these guys. Like, you know what I mean? And it just draws attention. So I think Ethan Page is doing really, really well. At number 6, I have the Owen Hart Cup winner, Bryan Danielson, going on to All In to fight AEW World Heavyweight Champion Swerve Strickland. Love seeing Bryan Danielson in this predicament. Love seeing him in this position. Can't wait to see what he has in store with AEW. At number 5, we have Oba Femi. And Oba Femi had a very impressive match against Duke Hudson on NXT last night. once again, won cleanly. No BS, no interference, no heel turns. He just kills it. He just rocks it. That's something that Oba Femi does. That's just so damn respectable. The NXT North American Champion Oba Femi on my list at number 5. At number 4, I have Will Ospreay. Will Ospreay successfully defending his AEW International Championship 2 weeks ago against Daniel Garcia. Obviously, you know how that turned out. MJF turned complete heel once again, taking out Daniel Garcia to the fact where Garcia was transported to the local hospital from from an ambulance and stuff like that. But I love the aerial assassin. I love what he does. He's the only one that you can fight inside the ring, lose against, be absolutely kind of, I don't want to say embarrassed because of the fact that he's like a better wrestler than everybody in the AEW locker room, in my opinion. Obviously, if you have anything different than that, hit me up in the chat. But Will Ospreay is definitely one of the most special, wrestlers of all time. That's why that's why AEW signed him. That's why WWE wanted to sign him. But, obviously you had that thing where, Will Ospreay was talking crap on Triple H, that you're only in the position, bro, because you were banging the boss's daughter. Like, it was kind of funny. It was kind of cool, got to be honest. But, respect Will Ospreay. I have Will Ospreay at number 4. At number 3 in my wrestling power rankings, I have WWE World Heavyweight Champion Damien Priest. Damien Priest have been, kind of holding Monday Night Raw on his back ever since, ever since WrestleMania. I do like Damien Priest. And for the longest time, honestly, I kind of felt like he is a transitional champion because, he can't win without the help of the Judgment Day. You saw him defeat Braun Strowman on Monday Night Raw, and if he defeats Gunther, defeating Gunther, the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion, surpassing the Honky Tonk Man at 666 days, you can have Damian Priest defeat Gunther, and Gunther could put over Damian Priest. If Damian Priest defeats Gunther, he will be, viewed as a real WWE World Heavyweight Champion. And of course, after that, then you're going to have him leave in the Judgment Day. I ultimately feel like, Damien Priest and Rhea Ripley are kind of over the Judgment Day at this time, in this position and stuff like that. So, honestly, it's kind of crazy. I have a chat from my man, Anthony Mazzano. Do you think WWE changes the name of two new female superstars who just signed? Got a choice. Would you bring what would the ring name be? I think I read that kind of long. It's, do you think WWE need 2 ring, if you had a choice, what would be their ring names? Well, the two new females from WWE recently signed is Stephanie Vaquer and also Julia from Stardom. I would have changed their name. I feel like ultimately something that WWE has done that, as opposed to when people leave WWE, you see them change their names because WWE smart enough to trademark it to the point where it's in a different market like AEW, New Japan Professional Wrestling, Ring of Honor, TNA. They're going to use that publicity. They're going to use that CMLL, Stephanie Vaquer, and they're also going to use that Stardom of Julia. So, if I had a choice, what would be their ring names? Oh, man, that'd be, if I was a WWE executive, I'm just kidding. No, but, honestly, I wouldn't change their ring name. Honestly, I feel like, they're both kind of perfect the way they are. Can't wait to see what they do and what can do, the way they kind of end up within WWE. So, definitely, on my hands and knees waiting for that to happen, when they decided to challenge Roxanne Perez for the NXT Women's World Championship. At number 2, I have Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes, the American Nightmare, the WWE Undisputed Champion, comes on this list at number 2. I had him at number 1 for the longest time. Cody Rhodes is, ushering this new era of, Paul Levesque. I feel like overall he's been doing really, really good. There's been a lot of WWE criticisms, a lot of professional wrestling social media landscapes saying that he's a boring champion. He's a better chaser than a better title holder. And I think, I don't think that's correct. I think Cody Rhodes is, he still, proves dividends every single time he walks through obviously he has one of the most popular entrances in WWE. So, at number 2, I have Cody Rhodes. At number 1, of course, I have my man, Swerve Strickland, the AEW World Heavyweight Champion. Talk about a man who has had to prove himself from the get-go. This guy's had successful title defenses after successful title defenses. Now he has AEW on his back, something that I was kind of mentioning beforehand, that, you had Cody Rhodes leave, you had CM Punk leave, Jack Perry was suspended, so was the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, and Hangman Adam Page for a little bit, when obviously now you have Kenny Omega, going through like surgery and stuff like that. So Swerve Strickland, I feel like he's number one. I feel like 1,010%. Number one, Swerve Strickland. Definitely love Swerve. Definitely love the way he kind of handles that. And I got another message from my man Mazzano. Honestly, I'm getting tired of Cody as a baby face. I don't think the American Nightmare gimmick works as a baby face. That's more of a heel gimmick. I would love to see Cody Rhodes in a heel. Absolutely. That would be so badass. Oh my God, that would be super awesome. And I feel like, that's definitely coming. Even Cody Rhodes said in a conversation with WWE and also inside sources that he wouldn't be against going heel. Honestly, you have this professionalism of Cody Rhodes. He comes out in the suit, comes out badass. Just imagine if he comes out and be like, hey, like, I'm better than all of you guys and stuff like that. I'm a better wrestler. I dethrone. But I feel like with the bloodline and Roman Reigns coming back, it'd be kind of hard to see Cody Rhodes kind of in that, in that heel kind of landscape, but it would make for great TV. 1,010%. If Cody Rhodes win heel, Solo Sikoa win heel. Well, although Solo Sikoa's already heel. But if you had Roman Reigns comes back as a total babyface, something WWE has tried to establish within the last decades, if he came back, won his championship back from Cody, babyface, that would be pretty epic. Did you have any NXT guys in your top 10? I did. I had Joe Hendry at number 10. I had Ethan Page at number 7. And I also had Oba Femi at number 5. So, definitely have those guys, one of the, top, one of the top two. Well, obviously, Joe Hendry is, kind of dabbing his foot in TNA and NXT for a little bit. But, yeah. So let's going to move on to our next segment. Now we have our women's. Now we're going to have our women top 10. Stay tuned to find out if your favorite women's wrestler is on my list. If not, hit up the chat link. Tell me who you think should be number 1, who you think should be dead last at number 10. So, hey, stay tuned.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
And welcome back to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. So let's kind of reflect on what we talked about. We had our WWE NXT review. We had our AEW Dynamite 250 preview. We had our top 10 men's wrestling superstars, and now we're going to talk about our top 10 women's superstars. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez, every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific Time, 11 p.m. Eastern Time on the GSMC Sports Network, here to talk about what you guys love, what I love, professional wrestling. So without further ado, let's talk about these top 10 amazing women in professional wrestling. All right, guys, at number 10, I have Nia Jax. I gotta be honest, I have Nia Jax. Nia Jax, I feel like, ultimately kind of aligning herself with Tiffany Stratton, the Money in the Bank winner. Well, before that, we didn't know she was going to be the Money in the Bank winner. But when Nia Jax won the Queen of the Ring tournament, I wanted to kind of see her just kind of get rowdy. Just wanted to see her like use her crown, kind of like to her advantage, kind of like what Booker T did when he won when he was king of Booker. But ultimately, like Nia Jax, I feel like still has not lived up to her full potential inside WWE. She's a one-time WWE, I think, SmackDown champion. Don't quote me on that. SmackDown champion. Obviously, she lost it when Liv Morgan cashed in her and when Alexa Bliss cashed in her Money in the Bank when she had a match with Ronda Rousey. So Nia Jax, I have at number 10. And honestly, my man Anthony Mazzano Mob, Britt Baker was an honorable mention. I love Britt Baker. When she came back to AEW at Forbidden Door, even I was kind of shocked. I was like, it's kind of cool to kind of see her come back. Interesting to kind of seem like if she's the one to kind of dethrone Mercedes Moné from the high she's been on for so long. So I want to see Britt Baker do it. I want to see Britt Baker become, return to the face of AEW. Obviously, during her hiatus, there was a lot of, a lot of panic going on between the women's division. Obviously, you did have a lot of top superstars like Willow of Nightingale, like, like Tony Storm, like, not Stephanie Victoria, the other Latina, oh God, Thunder Rosa. Thunder Rosa was really, really good. I love Britt Baker. I think, she was one of the honorable mentions. At number 9, I had the WWE Women's Champion Bayley. Bayley, I like Bayley. I do like Bayley. Love her as a babyface more than a heel. As a heel, I feel like, I was kind of shocked to find out that Bayley kind of spoke to outside sources saying that she was the one to ultimately initiate the heel turn. But her as a babyface, it's just better. It's just better 1,010%. Obviously, last Friday Night SmackDown, you saw Nia Jax saying that she got that BBL. You know what I mean? Like, so crazy. So it was kind of crazy because like when you look on Twitter after SmackDown, that was what was trending. That was what was trending. Bayley BBL. Kind of crazy. If you don't know, then Google it. I'm not going to tell you here on this podcast because we are PG. We're kid friendly here on this podcast. PG-13. Although I feel like when WWE moves to Netflix, I feel like we should go up to PG-13. I'm just kidding. Rated R. I'm just kidding. No, don't. We're not gonna do that. So at number 9, I got my girl Bayley. At number 8, it did not take Willow of Nightingale too long to bounce back from her TBS championship loss at Double or Nothing against Mercedes Moné. She won a vacated championship that was vacated by current WWE superstar, obviously Stephanie Victoria, who was signed by WWE. Now she's a champion once again, and I love the championship belt on Willow. Definitely think they shouldn't have gave Mercedes Moné the TBS championship so quickly, but obviously that's my opinion, 1,010%. So love seeing Willow in this this successful kind of nature. You know what I mean? At number 7, I got Jordynne Grace, the TNA Knockouts World Champion. Ever since she kind of made it to WWE, I feel like it's kind of fizzled out. And I'm not trying to be rude. I'm not trying to be a burden. I'm not trying to kick down Jordynne Grace's run in TNA to be like, oh, she's only important if she takes on WWE superstars. No, that's not the case. I feel like ultimately, NXT should have did a lot more by Jordynne Grace. Like, Tatum Paxley, she's cool. She's all right. Izzy Dame, she's a powerhouse. She's a promising star. Yeah, she's all right. But I feel like you could have had somebody bigger. Like maybe you could have had Jada Parker go over there. Maybe Mi Chen. Maybe Soruka. Maybe you could have had like Kaylani Jordan defend the NXT. Maybe you could have had something bigger. I was kind of a little ticked off to find out the way that the NXT kind of gave TNA these superstars to take on Jordynne Grace. So definitely think she deserves more, but she's on my list. So yeah, at number 6 I have Billie Starkz. Billie Starkz of Ring of Honor, the Ring of Honor World Women's Television Champion. She recently won a Proving Ground match last week. She's going to defend her championship at Death Before Dishonor, July 26th. So I'm interested to kind of find out, what happens. She's a formidable champion, very, very good. She every single time she steps into the ring, she gives it all she got, man. She cuts good promos. She's excited to talk to the fans. She's like that baby. She's with MIT, with Athena. They're like this heel group, but ultimately, it's kind of hard to hate her. At number 6, I have Billie Starkz. At number 5, I have Mercedes Mone. Mercedes Mone, a double champion. She's the New Japan professional. She's the New Japan professional wrestling a women's strong champion, also with a TBS champion. I feel like she has to lose one pretty soon. Would be interesting to find out if tonight's the night she loses to Nyla Rose. I would prefer it. I would love to see Mercedes Mone at least drop one title. Like, you got signed to the AEW doesn't necessarily mean that you decide you deserve the whole entire world. At number 4, making her debut on my list, and I might be, obviously I'm a huge sucker for, blood being shed on professional wrestling because I'm a huge Attitude Era kind of guy. At number 4, I have Mariah May. Number 4, I have Mariah May. Her last promo with Toni Storm was just a beauty after winning the Owen Hart Cup. And now she has the number 1 contendership to take on Toni Storm at AEW All In at Wembley Stadium. I'm a sucker for that. Like, it was a great promo. Toni Storm was gushing out blood. You're not used to seeing women in wrestling just being torn to bits. So 1,010% Mariah May is the future of AEW. I mentioned before, she's a promising superstar, and the only reason why I kind of have her at number 4 is because AEW has high hopes for her. Much like, a lot of professional wrestling, social media landscapes and platforms and stuff like that. You look on any Instagram, you look on any Twitter, look on any TikTok, like, you look up Mariah May, and you just see this post, and it has like over like 100,000 of views and stuff like that. Mariah May is a big deal, and she's going to be great. At number 3, I have Roxanne Perez. Roxanne Perez, to defeat Lola Vice at Heat Wave, had to use 5 pop rocks. Love Roxanne Perez, one of the best NXT Women's Champion of all time. She was talking about it in a promo where she could possibly have a more illustrious career than Charlotte Flair. I'm not too quiet. I'm not too quick to bite on that or drink that Kool-Aid just yet. But she is number 1. She's definitely one of the best NXT superstars. Definitely so promising. She's, like Swerve Strickland, she's defended her belt to a crap ton. You can't really, discredit her ability to defend that championship. A lot of times you have someone win the championship, then they kind of use out of this world tactics, disqualifications. Somebody interferes in the match and, she wins. But Roxanne Perez, she wins them cleanly and clearly. So at number 3, I have Roxanne Perez. At number 2, I have Toni Storm. Toni Storm was at number 1, but Toni Storm, after being dismantled by Mariah May, I was like, all right. I kind of know what the way AEW wants to take in the direction of the women's division. Obviously, Toni Storm has been on the mountaintop, has been on the top of the steeple, top of the stoop for the longest time. It's time for a change. And I feel like this is going to be something that's, kind of like something that's going to be introduced here. Number 1 did not take long. Rhea Ripley returns to WWE Monday Night Raw, calls out Liv Morgan, calls out Dominic Mysterio, puts the Judgment Day on notice. Why is Carlito in our clubhouse? And then also you have Jey Uso trying to holler at her. And, it was crazy. 1,010%. And I don't know. It's just, I love Rhea Ripley. Rhea Ripley, 1,010%. She's, she's going to get her championship back. And it's, it's going to be pretty crazy. And I got another comment. Are your rankings only female wrestlers from the American companies? Who are your Animal Vengeance, or any of them from Japan? I do know a little bit about New Japan Professional Wrestling. Wish I knew a little bit more. Got to be honest. Once again, love the feedback, love the criticism and stuff like that. Definitely, if you have a couple of top 10s, give me a couple of New Japan Professional Wrestling superstars that I would absolutely love 1,010% to kind of look them up to see if they belong on this list. But one of those things, and it kind of burns me, kind of hates me to say, but WWE in the limelight it is, and the juggernaut it is. It's I don't want to say it's easier to put WWE superstars on this list, but it's power rankings. It's those who have great title runs, great promos, promising futures and stuff like that. Definitely Lucha Libre as well. CMLL, their new partnership with Tony Khan and AEW should be pretty badass. I would love to see more wrestling from Mexico. I try to watch all the wrestling I can. I gotta be honest, that's signing up for Access TV to watch TNA, Ring of Honor Club, trying to find out a way to watch New Japan Professional Wrestling and stuff like that without watching highlights on YouTube and stuff like that. So, oh my God, there's just so much wrestling, and I love it. I love it 1,010%. So yeah. All right, guys, do not go anywhere. We're going to move on to our 5th and final segment. We're going to talk about our Wednesday weekly wrestling news. So grab your popcorn, grab your favorite snack, grab your favorite drink. We're going to talk about the breaking news headlines within the professional wrestling industry. So hey, do not go anywhere. All right, and we are back with the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Just kind of reflect on what we talked about real quick. We had our WWE NXT review. We had our AEW Dynamite 250 preview. We also talked about our top 10 wrestlers in professional wrestling. We also talked about our top 10 women's wrestlers in professional wrestling. Now we're going to move on to our fifth and final segment. We're going to talk about Wednesday's weekly wrestling news. So let's go ahead and dig on into that. A lot of cool stuff, a lot of, crazy storylines and stuff like that. So let's dig on into it. So story number one, Joe Hendry is sticking around with NXT to furthermore provide them with absolute amazing professional wrestling. Joe Hendry, from the TNA Impact, definitely one of the most promising rising stars within TNA. When he showed up to NXT, you saw him in that main event, teaming up with Trick Williams. Definitely Trick Williams needed a guy, and, you say his name, and he will appear. Joe Hendry has a promising start within NXT, wants to stick around. No surprise, NXT is big. Their new collaboration with NXT and TNA, so there's going to be something, within the future, and, definitely you see him on the high horizon. Keep your eye out. Look at what's trending on Twitter. You're going to see the name Joe Hendry from NXT. All right, and we also have our WWE. WWE reminds us that Stephanie McClure and Julia from Stardom will be on NXT very, very soon. Last night on NXT, you saw Roxanne Perez when she was promoting her title run, her prestigious title run, comparing her career to the illustrious career of Charlotte Flair. You saw Roxanne Perez bring up names like Julia, also Stephanie McClure from the CMLL, former New Japan Professional Wrestling Strong Women's Champion. Roxanne Perez, she's in for it. Julia is going to come and get her. Stephanie McClure, two amazing athletes ready to make a name for themselves in NXT. No doubt in my mind that these girls are going to be absolutely amazing, an absolute thorn in the side for the NXT World Women's Champion Roxanne Perez. I also have Dustin Rhodes. Dustin Rhodes addresses his contract status in AEW, which shoots down a chance of retirement. Dustin Rhodes, he's been within the WWE professional wrestling spectrum for the longest time. He was also in WCW. Obviously, formerly known as Goldust. We all, I was a huge Goldust fan, 1,010%, a huge fan. Ever since Dustin Rhodes was signed to AEW. Once when WWE was kind of going to crap back in 2018. Back in 2019, obviously, you saw the pandemic happen in 2020. So Dustin Rhodes wants to go out on his own, and it would be so awesome. Absolute rite of passage for him to get signed by WWE. Team up with his brother Cody. You see one last match with Stardust, team up with Goldust, taking on someone. Bam. That's a money idea right there. That's something that would obviously, apply to the ethos, pathos, logos kind of, rhetoric in terms of trying to persuade a WWE fan to, tune into this match. And I feel like it would be great for Dustin Rhodes. Dustin Rhodes has been WWE for the longest time, had his recent stint in independent wrestling, more so when his dad Dusty passed away. When his dad Dusty passed away, I believe in 2015, don't quote me on that, you saw both his brother, Cody, and also Dustin kind of had to reassess their careers a little bit. Kind of had to think to themselves. So, like, you know what? We're getting mid-card matches in WWE. We won the WWE tag team titles. One of us is Intercontinental Champion. I've won Intercontinental European Championships in the past. So I think it's time to move on. And ultimately they kind of went out there. They kind of created more of a buzz than, they would have naturally done within the WWE. So definitely love Dustin, coming back to the WWE to finish off his career. Next, we have Darby Allin. Darby Allin has been cleared by AEW medical staff to compete, and it's just in time for Blood and Guts, which is pretty awesome because when you think of Blood and Guts, I automatically thought of that flamethrower and Anarchy in the arena with the Elite against Team AEW at Double or Nothing. Anarchy in the arena. Definitely love what's going to happen. Definitely love the future. No doubt in my mind that Darby Allin will be a third member, maybe fourth member, joining Mark Briscoe, joining Swerve Strickland, the AEW World Heavyweight Champion, to contest the Elite. They need a fifth member, but once like I said, I feel like the Hangman Adam Page is kind of going to fill in that spot. So Fox unveils what will fill in that 8 p.m. time slot. When WWE SmackDown moves to the USA Network, we have Fox College Football Friday, Fox College Hoops, and also Fox during the UFL. So a lot of obviously Fox, doing what you got to do. Like they did not, or WWE signed with Netflix before Fox could ultimately re-sign them and stuff like that. Obviously, a lot of promising stuff, including, from TKO. The Rock is a chairman. The Rock wants to bring a little bit of PG-13 to professional wrestling, WWE once again. So that's why I feel like they're ultimately kind of coming on to that Netflix kind of feel. So I feel like it's a good decision. Next, we have the TNA World Heavyweight Champion Moose. Talks about the relationship between WWE and TNA is a lot better when, as opposed to the relationship TNA had with AEW. A lot coming from the champion right here. A lot of, pretty ballsy, honestly, to be honest, to kind of go out there and kind of say that. Obviously, you're not, I don't feel like they're honestly really done in terms of, partnerships with TNA. And also, AEW, but, he did what he had to do. He said what he had to say. I feel like, for the most part, it's kind of the truth. I love, the way they're handling this collaboration between NXT and TNA. So can't wait to, hear for them more. Ric Flair says that his daughter, Charlotte Flair, will be as famous as Serena Williams, and that's absolutely crazy because WWE audiences, wrestling audiences kind of have a niche. And, obviously tennis stars do too. But I feel like Serena Williams is one of the best, if not the best, women's athlete or champion in the whole entire world. Obviously has a lot of accolades, obviously, has a lot of pull within around the sports entertainment, industry. On SportsCenter, you're not talking about Charlotte Flair. You're not, you're talking about Serena Williams. On, FS1 Undisputed, you don't really talk about Charlotte Flair. You talk about Serena Williams. On Colin Cowherd's The Herd, you don't really hear about Charlotte Flair. So it's just, as famous, no. As talented and as respected and as notable in the respective, athletic leagues, definitely. Definitely, I think 1,010%. Ric Flair could be onto something. These two women's, in terms of the success in their own industry, could definitely, be, head to head. And Netflix has allegedly had some demands for WWE. Netflix will push for Monday Night Raw to have either Roman Reigns or Cody Rhodes on their brand. Without that, it's no dice, no deal. Obviously, they've already kind of made a deal. So, like I said, allegations. Obviously, on Monday Night Raw, you've had CM Punk, you've had Drew McIntyre, Finn Balor, The Judgment Day, Damien Priest. Also, in terms of women, you have Rhea Ripley, Liv Morgan. And, it's not enough. It's not enough. A lot of people say there's still speculations, and they want this done. They want this done by January of 2025. So Roman Cody would have to kind of move on. There's also been speculations of Brock Lesnar coming back to WWE, filling in that void, being Paul Heyman's next guy until Roman comes back. Roman, a lot of people are still speculating that he's going to come back at SummerSlam. I still feel like it's kind of too soon. Solo Sikoa still kind of needs to establish himself before Roman Reigns comes back and faces him face to face. And lastly, we have Bret the Hitman Hart says Paul Levesque, Triple H does not deserve to be in the spot he is right now as a WWE CEO. COO, I think it's CEO, Chief Content, CCO. So, a lot of animosity between, especially, obviously Triple H connected to Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, the Montreal screw job, just a lot of animosity between the two. So, no surprise that Bret Hart, once again, still kind of rattling the cages between WWE. He's just that type of guy. I feel like that's the way ultimately the kind of guy that Bret is. Bret Hart, he's been within the professional wrestling spectrum for the longest time. I feel like he still feels like he has unfinished business within the professional wrestling industry, and he's too old now to compete within the wrestling ring. So, for him to kind of dictate behind the scenes, I don't feel like that'd be a bad idea to kind of hire him on as creative. But for him to kind of go out and talk about Paul Levesque after all the success that WWE has had within the last couple of months under the Paul Levesque era, it's just, it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to, kind of to back up, the best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be, within Bret Hart and stuff like that. So, a lot of stuff, a lot of crazy breaking news going on within professional wrestling. So, yeah. Well, guys, that's it for me. Thank you so much for tuning in to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Your support means a lot to us. So please remember to Superman punch that like and subscribe button to the show. Also, remember to follow us on Twitter/X, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok for more content and a lot of, just different updates and stuff like that. Here at the GSMC Sports Network, we do love a lot of peace, love, and positivity. Hope you guys are going to enjoy Emerald's Soccer Podcast happening in 17 minutes. If I have not made you a wrestling fan by now, I want to remind you guys that we have other podcasts on the GSMC Sports Network. We have the Andrew Tate Show, Sports Meets Entertainment, entertaining as hell, to be honest. We have Sam with Baseball, Baseball's Heating Up, TJ, and my boy Jeremy on sports. We also have Nelson on basketball. We have Chris with fantasy sports. Fantasy football is right around the corner, guys. And we have our football guys, the Chip Shot Football Podcast host, Manny. We also have Kenneth. We have college football coming around the corner with my boy, Tommy. So just a lot of stuff to be excited for. Can't wait. Can't wait 1,010%. Don't be too shy to subscribe to the GSMC Sports Network, subscribe to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, and be a part of this, this sports bloodline. So once again, this is that for me, guys. Join me once again, Monday through Friday, the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, 8 p.m. Pacific Time, 11 p.m. Eastern Time on the GSMC Sports Network. Have a wonderful night. Most importantly, hey, stay beautiful.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet. Damn, ain't that great. I don't wanna go to work.